Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm about to give you some insight to, as it's billed on the menu, $1 million bet. Well, actually, it's not true. It's $1 billion bet. Significant investment in client success. But before I go anywhere, just to give people a bit of a backdrop, because if I asked everybody in the audience, with the exception of probably my colleagues, to say, who is Dimension Data? What are we? What do we do? Some would say we're a services organization. Some would say we're a system integrator. Let me just give you two things, two interesting facts about us as an organization before I delve into this. In Europe, there's a very important cycle race. It's called the Tour de France. We run the whole telemetry and IT systems for the Tour de France. Ever tried picking up telemetry on a bike with a person on it riding at a significant speed? We do it in real time. Very interesting, very complex thing to do. That's what we do. It's part of our system integration framework. But I'll give you something that's even more challenging, something that our founders set many years ago. We're very much into conservation. No animals were hurt, by the way, in this, just before anybody says anything. We track rhinos in the wild. And I'm not suggesting any of you to go out there and try and put an IoT device on a rhino that weighs a couple of hundred tons. But we track them in the wild to protect them against poachers. That's what we do. So I would argue, if anybody calls us a service organization, to say, actually, we're a little bit more than that. So let me get into the $1 billion bet for us in client success. Why? Why? What's our rationale behind doing this? Well, quite simply, let me just set the scene and talk about Dimension Data for a second. Our turnover is circa, of which approximately 20% is in the service industry. And this is the piece we're focusing on from a client success perspective. You can do the numbers pretty quickly. That's 1.6 billion. Current forecast, current run rate, by 2021, that will be over $2 billion if we carry on today. It's a significant investment. Move a 1% digit on against that number, it's a big number. Get it wrong, it hurts. Get it right, we're superheroes. By the way, at the minute, we're getting it right. We have 5 classical regions. We operate truly globally, with 32,000 staff in Dimension Data, operating directly in 52 countries. But we operate through partner networks in every country in the world. We are a significant player in this industry. 8,000 clients, give or take. I mean, it's pretty hard to add up some of the numbers sometimes, but according to our databases, and we've got quite a few, unfortunately. I wish sometimes we had a few less, but approximately 8,000 clients. Some are tiny by our standards. Maybe they spend $10,000, $15,000 per annum with us on support services. But let me flip it completely the other way. Our largest one is over $100 million per annum. That's how much they spend with us. Get this right, it moves the dial. It moves a company dramatically. Those 8,000 clients, there's over 475,000 contracts. You can do the numbers as quickly as I can, 70% per annum change. Simple numbers, that's over 1,200 contracts per day that change. This is client success at an enterprise global level. That's what we're doing. We're making a difference. And finally, it sits there, over 1 billion CIs in our database. I'm not talking about telemetry information. That number just doesn't go across the screen. The screen's not big enough. Just in our simple databases, over 1 billion pieces of configuration items, which we data mine. Okay? I've now set the scene. We're set. Okay? Now let's think about client success. Why are we doing it? I mean, these numbers are quite outstanding. And it's quite simple. Get it right, we're heroes. Get it wrong, we're zero, we're dead, we're off the stage. You know? One of those statistics, 70% of our estate moves annually. We have very, very effective hunters in our organization. They are extremely good at closing new business. I would question their ability to maintain that business. That's where client success comes into the program. We need to maintain that base. We cannot lose it. We have what they call a leaky bucket. Some call it a bucket. At times, I think I call it a see-through pipe that goes straight out the other end. We need to maintain those contracts, those 475,000 contracts per annum. Because if we don't, the money goes straight out the other end, and we need to stop it. So I'm going to give you some insight to what we're doing. Hopefully some lessons from this you'll pick up on. I can't give you everything. If you ask me afterwards, I'll give you some more details. But quite simply, that strap line there, proactively grow client lifetime value. We need to keep our clients. We need to keep those contracts. It's a big number. It makes a big impact. We developed a program called PACE. It's quite simply the cornerstone of our business. Standardize our portfolio. Give you an insight, our portfolio was roughly just under 500 different ways of supporting a particular device. Transform our delivery systems to make it more efficient, more effective, because we had to do this. And fundamentally, the cornerstone that sat underneath this is maintain that client base over time. So very quickly, rationalized our portfolio, took 480 different ways of supporting a device and drove it into a 4+10 matrix. That's what we did. It took a lot of work. We took 19 multilingual support and distribution centers and driven it into 2 that are then underpinned by the 19, a very smaller subset. But fundamentally, we did this. I'm sure there's people out there that have either done this or are about to do it. I spent 4 months, not hours or weeks, months, studying data. I can tell you now the largest spreadsheet that we had, and yes, it was on spreadsheets to start with, the largest one took just under 5 minutes to open. So as soon as I clicked on the button, I went and made a coffee, because it took 5 minutes to open. And believe it or not, we had to turn every function in Excel off. That was one spreadsheet from one system. I haven't got enough fingers and toes to count the number of systems we've got. But fundamentally, and if you do this, and it doesn't matter what parameters you use, so whether we're talking about revenue, product, style of service, fault ticket information, CI information, geographics, industry, it doesn't matter. We went through this model and we scrubbed it backwards and forwards. Between 5 to 8%, no matter what parameter I used, made up, quite simply, 1/3 of our revenue. It's quite astounding. It didn't matter which way I turned the model. Made up 1/3 of our revenue. When I took the next segment, and this roughly, depending on how I played the numbers, between 15 to 18% of our numbers, didn't matter what parameter I moved, and shuffled it around, magically, approximately 1,000 clients came out of it, and it was another 60% of the number. Quite simply, 1,200 clients made up 90% of our revenue. The only one parameter that broke this model, profitability. It's the only one that broke this model and turned this model upside down. But other than that, this model is true. We analyzed it. By the way, I didn't do it in Excel, for those that really want to know. I actually done it in a database in the end. We broke Excel too many times. It just couldn't work. Anyone playing with Excel, please stop. You're going to waste your time. You really are going to waste your time. You might drink a lot of coffee, but you're going to waste your time. Now I'm going to get into some of the real detail. Number one, if you cut a piece of data out of a system, it is like you cutting off your arm a branch off of a tree. The leaves will die. It's just a case of when. You will orphan the data. Do not do it. Live, do it in systems. Data lives. You cut it out. Sorry, it's going to die at some point. Okay? When we did this, it was about 4 months when we started. I needed a tool. I needed a client success management tool. 4 months. We did the research. We hit about 10 potential suppliers, give or take. 10 went to 3 in about, I would say about a microsecond. We went down to 3 very quickly. When we got to the 3, we then started to look at the products inside it quite deeply. No great surprise, they were all very, very similar. So if you go and research the 3 market industry players, their products and capabilities, when you get to a feature and function level, they call them slightly different. They're actually relatively the same. We went from 3 to 2, and in the last bit, we put a bake-off between the 2. This is fact. We did this. The last point we did, we gave both of them the same piece of data, sliced out of our network, out of our systems to say, here's the data. Off you go. You have 1 week. They hated us, by the way. We didn't have time to mess around. We gave them 1 week and said, come back and tell me what you can do with our data. We gave both organizations 4 hours a day to talk to us separately. You can ask us any questions. You can liaise with us. You have 4 hours. We did this rapid fire. One organization called us every day. We was on conference calls for 4 hours. The other one didn't. The one that called us every day got to understand our business. Really got to understand our business. They then come and presented to us the following week. The one that didn't call us showed us our data on PowerPoint. Kind of really didn't go very far. The other one showed us our data in their tool. They showed us our data for the first time. No great surprise who it is. Mr. Tango. They took our data and they made it live in 1 week. It's a sample piece of data, but it was live. Truly valuable to us. Think of the people, don't think of the tool. You need the right attitude. We bought attitude. We bought people that cared about our business. And that's been borne out thereafter. There is no one tool. If you think there is one tool that is going to do this, you are mistaken. When you get to an enterprise level like we are, at a global level, we have to crunch so much data, it's incredible. So Tango is our augmentation engine. We bring all of that smashed data together to present it to a CSM. Very, very key. Data is your friend, it is your enemy. We've got this wrong. We've done it and got this wrong. I can stand here and go, I've got the scars, okay? It's your friend, get it right, it loves you. Get it wrong, it's going to kill you. Quite simply, make sure you never poison your data. And I'm not talking about doing a CRC check on the data or making sure the source is all right. I'm talking about eyes on the data. Go and look at it. You need to do it. Do you really need data in real time? I would question it. Put your eyes on the data, because if you don't, the reverse of going back out of it is painful. Think big. Planning stages. Your boss will want you to deliver results on a modular fashion. Boss, I'll give you the answer in 2 years. Wrong answer. Boss, I'll give you the answer every month, month on month. I'll give you a deliverable. He will want it. He or she. I'm not going to. All the way through to plan for failure. Seriously, plan for failure. I'm going to put my hand up. I put my hand up. I broke our system. Wasn't a nice thing to say, but I had to put my hand up and say, I broke it. I launched a piece of data at our system and broke it. I took it offline. The sales managers weren't very happy, but I did. Sorry, it's what I did. It's the truth. Don't forget the finer things. And I would really say, don't forget the finer things. These will trip you up. A bad process is a bad process. Do not automate it. You know the only thing you're going to do? Fail quicker, fail consistently. Do not just take a bad process and inject it in a tool and go, we've solved the problem. You haven't. You've just said you're going to fail quicker. Do not train people how to use the tool. Do not do it once. You train people continuously. Features and functions adapt. You must learn to live with it. You must learn to live with the tool. Please do not do it once. You do it once, you're going to fail. It's part of the ecosystem. You need to keep doing it. These are all lessons we've learned. Some people might follow Formula One. Some people might follow NASCAR. Some people might follow NBA sports. The guy on the plate, the guy in the car, the guys on the baseball field or basketball field, they're just parts of a team. We have a team. We run in 5 regions. We have regional client success managers. We have operational people. The CSM on the front plate isn't on their own. They need a support team, okay? You really do need to support them. We run a corporate dashboard. No great surprise, yeah? There's about 20 metrics in our dashboard. We crystallize it into about 6/8. Leading indicators, lagging indicators. You need both. You need to see what's happening in the business. And you need to expect to change those pieces of data. But you need them. Remember, I'm a $1.6 billion program. I move that dial 1 percentage point, people get very excited. Positive, we're all happy. Negative, trust me, it's not a nice conversation I generally end up having. But that's what I'm trying to say to you. You need that dashboard. You need to maintain it. You need to maintain it for a minimum of 3 to 4 months to see things start to move. And I would say pilot everything. I said we've got it wrong. We've broken things. Yeah, we have probably 20 core systems that we feed stuff into Tango. Yeah. Success. Success. We're starting to see the shoots. I've been doing this since day one. I was the second person that started the unit in Dimension Data. My boss is in the audience as well. He was number 1, I'm number 2. We can argue who started first and who got in the office the first on the first day. But it's the 2 of us, okay? A lot bigger team now, but we're seeing success. Do you remember when I started this, I said we had 8,000 clients? In our program, we've only lost 1 since we started. 1 logo, that's all we've lost. Now, before the program, we wasn't tracking the loss of clients, but I will say to you, I know what the revenue forecast and the revenue run rate was previously. That was higher than 1 previously. I can't tell you what the revenue number is because I'm not allowed to. What I will tell you is it's improved by over 10%. 1.6 billion, a 10% movement. People love me. Yeah? These are big numbers. We're doing this at an enterprise scale. Our data quality is significantly improved simply because we can now see it. We had billions of data points. It's impossible to see them in a spreadsheet or in a database. We visualize them using visualizing tools. So the likes of Power BI, ClickView, Tableau, etc. We visualize this stuff now, and we can see it. Amazing clarity. We visualized the data. We've seen 23% improvement in the ability to bring in new opportunities into our database. 23% of 1.6 billion is a big number. That's the size it's got there because we can see it. Previously, we couldn't see it. We just couldn't see it. Okay? I'm going to start to draw it to a close there. You'll hear the people like Phil Nannis from TSIA and even Guy talk about land, adopt, expand, renew. We leave land with our hunters. They're really, really efficient. They're merciless. Oops, we look after the life of that contract. Now, Phil will probably tell you, and Guy will probably tell you, Well, crawl, walk, and run. I've not got to crawl stage yet. I'm a baby. I've just learned to turn over. And learning to turn over is moving these numbers. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you've learnt something.